Hi, good friends. Welcome once again. So, we want to wrap up the last segment of the management and leadership, especially on the leadership theories. So, we're looking at two more guys, and then we bring it to a close. Felder and Bennis, their theories um, on contingency. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have in terms of screen share. So at this point, I'm going to start with the slide share. Okay. Okay. All right, so we move on. So Felder brought together two elements in terms of leadership style or leadership theory or leadership approach. Okay, so he brought together, he fused in the situational approach and then the personality context of the leader. And so in his wisdom, he's a psychologist actually. Felder is a psychologist somewhere in the early 1920s. Okay, so further develop this contingency approach, bringing together these two elements. And then he said, we have two types of leadership. We have the psychologically distant managers, the PDMs. And these are the guys who want to use formal structures, emailing systems. So it's everything like you want to follow the structure, the procedures, more bureaucracy, formalism to get to where you want to get to. And then we have the psychologically close managers, the PCMs. For them, they want to cut off the formal structures, they want to use informal systems, get in touch, more human centered. Okay. The first one, the PDMs are more task oriented, and then the PCMs are more human focused. Okay. Now, there are points I want us to look at again. The PDMs will, like we said, they want to distance themselves from from the subordinates. They want to have some formal structure. Before you come to my room, you knock on my door. Okay. They are withdrawn, reserved. The interpersonal relationships are quite, I don't want to say poor, but not the best. Okay. They want to prefer consult, um, get in touch, formal approach. So they are more like the white collar guys. Okay, protocol, follow protocol, and they are always looking at the task, get the task done. Not much interested in the humans. Okay, and then the PCMs. Let's cut off these formal structures. Come to my door, my room, open door policy. Okay, you can call me even on my phone. You don't need to send me a text message if or an email if you can call. Okay, you can see me and say, hey. So normally I have seen the PCMs operating more in the IGOs where profit is not their headache. Okay, it's more about getting the work done. So let's get the human beings motivated to get the work done the best as they can. Okay, and so they are more primarily person oriented. They look to regular staff meetings, get to know what the staff needs. Okay, there are other points we should look at. We'll come to that one soon. So the one thing we should look at is that if you can blend the two, is the best. Okay, if you can blend the two, is the best. If you are more human centered, still using the human beings to get the task uh, met to meet your task is quite key. Now, Felder went ahead to look at effective ways that this leadership um, could be executed, pending or depending on the situation. And he said, well, the best situation is determined by three factors: the extent to which the leader relates with the subordinates, with the humans in the workplace, and then the degree to which you clearly define the work structure. Do I know what I'm doing? How will I do it? What steps would I use? What tools would I use? At what point should I come back and seek clarifications? What is the outcome? Clear cut structure. So you follow through to meet the final outcome or the final outputs that leads to the final outcome. And then we also look at the structure, the leadership position structure. And this is looking at the extent to which I've given you power, authority to execute your task. So I'm giving you a responsibility, but I need to also imbue you or give you that, empower you. Let me put it that way. So I'm giving you the power to be able to do what you're supposed to do. Okay. So now he also argued that we cannot, as a leader, you cannot always be on only one aspect. You cannot be high always on one aspect at a time. You can only be either person focused or task focused, but not both. Okay, which I'm thinking is it depends. Okay, it depends. Currently, you can see people who can merge the two ends. Okay, so he postulated a chart, a graph. This one. Okay, so a continuum. It's not like the managerial grid that we saw. Okay, here he's talking typically about being on only one item, only on one line. But if you look at Blake and Morton's managerial grid, they are saying yes, we have group centered, task centered, we can have a 50-50 approach, and we can even get a high end of concern for people and a high end for concern for tax. That's what Blake and Morton said. But this one is saying no, you cannot be on both sides. You can be on only one at a time. So it's a theory. It has its weaknesses or criticisms. Now he went on to say that listen, the effective leader depends on it depends on the situation. It's contingent upon a situation. Okay, either you find yourself favorable or unfavorable, and he said there could be two extremes. Okay, so he said the favorable situation, a leader who is more successful or who finds his situation to be more favorable, is the one who is trusted by people. The people like him. They always sing his praises. He's people focused. It is more also favorable when this person has his managerial style. Is he the type who is always one looking to reward you, to motivate you, to get you do the work, and also task oriented? It becomes more favorable when the situation allows you to clearly define the task. What am I supposed to do? How do I do it? Where do I seek help from? Okay. And the reverse is true. That's what it says. That you get your situation to be unfavorable, or you find yourself ineffective as a leader when you lack in any of or a combination of all of these three. Okay. Now it depends also where Fielder is looking at the fact that you will be finding yourself on two extremes. He said the PDMs, the physically distant, becomes the psychologically distant, become more successful when the situation is either very unfavorable or very favorable. You find yourself on both extremes. Then he says that the PDMs become more successful, okay, more favorable, okay. I don't want to use favorable, more successful, more effective. So he's saying that listen, if everything, if the situation, what we have is everything is unfavorable, what can you do? There's nothing. Okay. In that case, there's nothing you can change. You cannot change the task. In fact, to be able to prioritize what do I need to do, you cannot. Okay. In that case, you just work with what you have and finish it. But if everything is favorable, very, very favorable, what would you even be thinking about human beings? The systems are working. I can fix it in time. I click a button and everything works. Would I be thinking of you, the worker? No. Okay, so in that case, he says that the PDMs tend to be very successful. And then he also said that, listen, the PCMs, the people-centered guys, they become more successful when situations are moderately favorable or unfavorable. Moderately. For the PDMs, it is the extreme, very favorable or very unfavorable, you become successful. But for the PCMs, moderately favorable. If it's moderate, then I have time to relate with my friends, with the workers, with the subordinates, to think about the group interest. If it is moderately favorable, I have time, I have the flexibility to look at the task, to adjust the parameters, to let them know that if you can't do X, use Y. Okay, so you have the time to adjust. And again, if it's moderately favorable, your leadership style will allow you to accept views, democracy, okay, and then to look at ways in which you can participate. So that's what further suggested. Okay, now let's go on and look at Bennis. Bennis also came out with a transformational leadership style, but of course he proposed two types and before picking out one, thinking that a transformational leader is the best. I agree with Bennis. Okay. So he said a transactional leader is the one who sees you as a transaction. It's a bargain. It's a give and take. It's a trade. Okay. You're working, I'm paying you. That's it. So what do I need to worry my head about? Okay, you are loyal to me as a servant. I'm rewarding you with some cash. Okay, you're working for me, and I see you as just a transactional piece. Okay, a trade. But a transformational leader is different. He's not like seeing you as a trade. He's more inspiring, talking to you, motivating you. It's more outside of compliance. Okay, it's more looking at the human element. Okay, so you can see that in all of these leadership theories, human element is being mentioned. The managerial grade, we're talking of person centered. Okay, we just look at Fielder, we're looking at person centered. Bennis, person centered. Okay, now one thing, just one or two things to look out for. Transactional leaders are more passive, whereas the transformational are more proactive. Again, transactional leaders tend to be quite distant from the humans. They are just looking at you as a trade, a piece of bargain. Okay. And again, transformational leaders have become very important in recent years because we want leaders to be able to transform their followers into potential leaders. Okay. Now, transformational leaders, they will always bring in the morale, enhance your performance, they boost your work. Okay. They try to help you get the task going, self motivated. Okay. But the transactional leaders, they are more distant, confined to their cultural, organizational culture. It's not about then it's just about structure, systems. Okay, not about the individual interest at the end of the day. At the end of the day, sometimes yes, transactional leaders tend to meet the interest of the individual because I'm rewarding you. It's for your interest. Okay, you gain something over there. All right. So, like I said, it's more current today. Everybody wants to be a transformational leader so that when you leave a legacy for posterity. And so he went ahead to identify that transformational leaders need these five skills. I'm sure this list is not exhaustive, there could be more. So anticipatory, look ahead, have a foresight so that you can always change the working environment into a better place. It links with vision, okay? Having the vision, look ahead, strategy, have the persuasion to induce the group to act in line with the overall strategy of the organization. Okay, so we tend to get a shared value system, and so you use your visionary skills to blend them, to harmonize them. And it links with the goal congruence. The organization has its own overall strategy and goals they want to achieve. Individuals also come in with their own objectives to work. Okay. I want to get some experience. Then in 5 years, I leave to become a CFO somewhere. It happens. Okay. Most people go into audit just to understand how systems work in terms of accounting practice. Then they find themselves as CFOs or financial controllers. So as a transformational leader, you need to harness these values, bring the values together, let them merge. Yes, we'll train you to become the best accountant, but we also want you to help the organization meet or achieve its milestone. And also they have the empowerment skills, okay? The empowerment skills, willingness to share power and to do so effectively, okay? And the self understanding deals with where you understand your own needs, the needs of your team, and then the goals of the organization. So you blend them together. Okay, there's one more which looks at the individual's economic, psychological, physical, and other important needs. So again, they look at where they better understand the individual's psychological, individual personal needs, individual's emotional, any other needs. They want to look at that. So the transformational leader is down to the ground to understand what is happening. Okay, we wrap up now. Today we can have leaders who are in the same workplace, but they tend to be virtual. I've never seen the vice chancellor before. Okay, I've never met him, but I know he's the leader. So more or less, you all work in the same organization, but the leader seems to be remote, though you feel the presence of the leader. Okay, so leaders of a virtual team should always have the propensity because you will not be able to meet everyone to be able to inspire and motivate the team, even without meeting them physically. Jeff Bezos is the head or the founder of Amazon. Do you think he knows all the workers who work for Amazon? No. Bill Gates, do you think he knows all the workers who work for for Microsoft? No. Dangote, do you think he knows all the workers who work for his various companies? No. Okay. Richard Branson, do you think he knows all the workers who work for a Virgin group of companies? No, they don't. Okay. But they are able to inspire them to work, though they cannot see them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you should be physically present to be able to induce work, to motivate people, to get people to live desirably or according to your organizational goals. We face it. Today, we are facing cultural challenges. You will be sitting here and working for somebody in the United States or somebody in the Middle East, somebody in Africa. But this person must be able to move you on. Okay. Virtual team leaders will face these cultural challenges, demographical challenges, geographical challenges. They will have more ambiguity, more technicalities, and complexities will arise. But they can easily use communication to resolve this. Send a little email to thank somebody. Okay, somebody you've never met. Acknowledge somebody for the best job done for winning an employee of the year. That's enough. Okay. Today with COVID, many organizations are facing this. You are all working remotely from home. You need to motivate me whilst I'm there. Maybe I'm down sick. I'm suffering with mental health. Some loneliness is killing me. As a leader, you need to motivate and get me running. Even though I'm home, I should still know that I'm working for the organization. Okay. So it's happening. Everyone is happening. And it's always important we get leaders who will move um, their staff or their followers beyond, far and beyond. Summary, we put this together. So, like I said, the text, if you take the text today, you'll find a lot of information there. You will see an illustrated example of a poor business ethics in the case of Nestle. Okay, leadership works with ethics, and leadership must always be applied in context. Okay, so there is a lot we could look at, and I like the context in a very good way because before ending it pull together the theory or the models, okay, and look at some recommendations on what we could use or what we could pick up in terms of field practice. Okay, he went on to even give us another psychologist. I think psychologists dominate the area of leadership. Another psychologist, Daniel Goleman, who identified 6 types of leadership skills or leadership styles and argued which one effective leaders should have based on the contingency. Okay. So it's a good book, both for field practice, both for academic practice, and both for industrial practice. Okay. Anyone. Even at home. In your own home, you can still use these and apply them. So many theories exist. The slides are just introduction. Do more research on your own. Classical approach says that there's only one correct approach. Modern approach says no, there's no one single approach. We can adapt. We can choose the one which best suits us. All right, friends, I end here and then I will see you in the next session. If you have any question, please keep in touch. Once again, look at some of the questions there, test your understanding, and you'll find similar ones appearing in the exams. It's highly examinable. You'll be fine. Take care.